We found him. Everybody okay out there?
No, not this morning.
Hello.
We're already starting out bad, but we're still alive, that's okay. Okay, go ahead, let's go on.
Shall we call the meeting?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, what time is it? Does anybody have any idea?
Could I not have a pen?
10:42.
Want me to get you one?
Hey, here,
Thank
Friends
you.
of Monte Rio.
It is 10:42, and present are Steve Jackson. I don't know how this works. Does everybody hear
That's
this?
what I do, because there's so few of us.
Oh, okay. And Peter's here as, however. Okay. Shoot, I didn't do the minutes for the January meeting because nothing was resolved. On the agenda for that meeting was to discuss the events coordinator position and employee compensation, and we kind of got off track a little bit. And with some follow-up to be done, asking Dawn for, figures on, for the last several years that she's been holding this position. So, sorry, I guess I need to do that. Just write that down.
This will go until the next meeting.
Yeah.
We just need to approve the agenda though.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, I'll second it, I guess.
Yeah.
Public comment?
Well, as a member of the public, I should make a comment, yeah. Just a thought, somebody asked me a while back, and I forgot to ask Diane or whatever, just a question of information or a point of information, you have to respond, but speaking of minutes, everything else is on the website, I noticed, but minutes of different things aren't there.
Yes, they are.
Are they?
I don't know
Oh.
how you could think that. They are.
Oh, are they all?
Every set of improved minutes are on the,
Not the agendas are there. Not
the minutes are there.
Oh, they are?
The minute they're approved, they're there.
Oh, okay.
It's on another, I think it's another button.
No, it's just on the same link. It says agenda and minutes of
Mhm.
meetings, and if you scroll down and really read the descriptions, I mean, I know this for a fact because our auditor just went through them all on our
Oh,
website.
okay.
So,
Okay,
I'll check it out. I'll have somebody else check it out.
all right.
I mean, if certain committees aren't
If
posting
you want me
theirs
to, I'll look it up for you, Lee.
in a
That's all right.
timely manner, you should, notify that chair.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like me.
Thank
Any
you.
other public comment? Okay, first order of business is to take a look at the events coordinator position. We've been taking a look at this for the last couple of months, and I've been working with Dawn and with Diane, getting information. And the first thing I wanted to say is that Dawn has offered to assist in the transition and to continue in her current role under her present contract on a month-to-month basis, which I think is reasonable until we fill this position. It's not going to be that easy to fill.
Well, has that been
Are we-
decided?
Yeah,
I
first
mean,
thing
we're
we
even
decide,
gonna?
yeah, are we changing the
Okay.
position? That's what we have to decide first,
Okay.
before we do anything. Now, my question, or not my question, my comment I made, and I'll say it again, is whatever makes the district more money, we stay with. If percentage makes the district more money, we stay with percentage. If hourly makes the district more money, that's the way I look at it. I look at it as money. And as you know, as usual, we are in a money crunch. Every year we're in a money crunch. But we have a couple of priorities, and one of them is to get Creekside up and running, the other one is to get our beach up and running.
Right.
So no frills, but anyway, that's back to the usual. Whatever makes money for us, that's what I'm for.
Okay.
I think it goes beyond that, Scoop. For me, it would be it's not a one or the other. I mean, there's advantages to the employment side, there's advantages to the contract side. My belief, and what the auditor noted was, in other words, in any kind of commission situation, you should see a sales line and a commission line. Right now, you're seeing a sales line and a commission line. And that's what the auditor pointed out. And in other words, it's just,
Diane, can I stop you for a minute here? What I did was I did an analysis as the projected cost of a staff position and comparison to the existing contract, and then thoughts as to changes to the contract, should we decide to recommend a contractor position. Did you read this before?
Yes, oh yes,
Okay.
I've got everything you give me, I've gone through.
Okay, I didn't know if you could open the attachments
Okay.
under the Brown Act, trying to behave. Basically, do I just talk through this?
Yeah.
Okay. Going to projected cost of a staff position, Dawn provided, pulled together fairly quickly, a spreadsheet that had revenues from events, commission, admin, management fees, and her total income. She also outlined the administrative hours that she reported on a timesheet, which I have copies of, and then tried to estimate additional time that wasn't provided, that she didn't report. And so I kind of took that into consideration, thinking of a permanent position, a regular position. And if we have a regular position, we should look at compensating for those extra hours. So my analysis is based on averages fiscal years 2010 through 13. The 13 ones, I guess, would include events booked and projected income. And so my assumption was that the average hours were 700 reported, plus up to 3 hours a week not reported, for a total of 850 hours, divided by 50 weeks, giving 2 weeks vacation to a regular employee. That would average 17 hours a week. And assuming a pay of 16 to 18 an hour based on experience, plus payroll taxes, at $16 an hour, the cost of the district is about $1,600. At $18 an hour, it's about $1,800. And looking at what Dawn reported, I see an average pay for the periods mentioned at $17,178, which does not seem out of line to me. Did you have any comments on that?
No, I was looking at the comparison and I was surprised. I didn't know all the figures until I went through all this.
Yeah.
I just want to explain about the unbooked hours. When we first started the original contract way back when, because at that time I had regular posted office hours, so the ask was just go ahead and book your office hours, and that would fall under the category of administrative hours. So I only ever book hours that have to do with administrative, whether it's checking emails, making phone calls, sitting in the office literally, doing paperwork, whatever that might be for that month. Other hours include hours that are worked for events that are not booked on the actual contract. For example, most of the contracts allow for 1 to 2 hours. There's hours that are worked outside of that. Then there's tour hours that aren't booked, and work that's done at home, and other activities like Forgotten Felines when they came and did their event here, and that was oversight by MRRPD. That was my hours that didn't get booked. Anything like that, when we do the cleanup every year, those hours aren't booked because, as far as I'm concerned, always sort of fell under the base pay. Any of those kinds of activities, when we do swim activities, which YMCA wants to bring up again this year, those always fall under non-booked hours because they're non-applicable to administrative and they fall under the responsibility of the contractor, so I never booked them.
Yeah.
So, I think the additional hours that we put in here are lower than actual, but it's impossible to say. They also apply to any on-call during event hours. When I first read the first draft of the new position, of the in-house position, there was no compensation or discussion about how you're going to deal with an event that begins at 11 and ends at 11 p.m. and being on call for that event the entire evening. You literally cannot go anywhere because you have an event that's actively running. You can come back and check it. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you're called because the dishwasher or something isn't working properly. So I think that if you're going to do an in-house position, you need to add some kind of compensation in for the hours that are sort of these nebulous, flexible hours that the person is responsible for.
So that would add to cost.
So what do you think would be better for us?
Cost-wise, I agree with Mary's assessment that it's going to run about the same. I think there's a chance that an in-house position could run more if it's based on an hourly as opposed to a salary. If you have an hourly position, I think there's a good chance of running into OT. And how is that going to, you know, unless you allow for that in your budget, how's that going to affect your bottom line? But especially in season.
Now, what do you think about someone here Fridays? You know, one of the things we try to do is get someone in the office Fridays.
Well, I addressed that to Mary. I sent her a fairly extensive, and I didn't send it to you. The Friday and Monday idea, while nice to have somebody in the office, I can tell you from experience that when I had booked office hours during the week, mostly I was giving directions or refilling the toilet container. I rarely had guests stop by for tours, and I rarely scheduled them unless they were in the evenings or on weekends, because that's when clients are available.
Yeah, I don't worry about Monday, but I thought Friday was a busy day of people dropping in.
Perhaps in season, but I haven't been here on Fridays in a long time. I mean, I suppose that's a possibility that could be built into a base pay and not one that would be crazy. It would be better to have it an afternoon to early evening booking so you could get clients in when they get off of work or they're traveling in from out of the area for the weekend.
Or the setups.
Yeah, because I think, from what I've
that's my
seen,
only
yeah,
thing
from what
is-
I've seen is Friday afternoon and evening is busy.
Yeah.
People are setting up for the weekend, people dropping in. Monday, I'm not too concerned
No.
about Monday.
Yeah, and usually...
But I think, Friday, see, if you're here, when are you here now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And if we had someone here Friday, we had 4 days covered. I think that would help us a lot, but I don't think Friday morning, I don't think anything.
Off season, it's not an issue.
No, but
Yeah.
during season, I think Friday afternoon and
Monday's
evening,
fine.
that's my concern.
I think
In
that's a
season.
practical answer
Yeah,
to it.
but
because
Monday,
that's
it's
typically
just like
is-
the beach on Monday,
Yeah.
you know?
Because there's a lot of, because of the way we have to book Saturdays, we can't get people in here until 11. What I have been doing sort of off of contract is allowing people 2 hours, either before, on the day before, or 2 hours on the day after, either for setup or cleanup, because it's not practical to set up an event at 11 o'clock with a wedding scheduled for 3 and expect them to get everything done.
Oh, no, they got it.
So there is a lot of setup that happens on Fridays, and
Yeah.
occasional cleanups on Sundays.
I need to note something as far as your numbers here, Mary. The escalation that's noted is not noted here, and what the auditor is talking about, and in really looking at it, the noted escalation that would be noted at the end of the 12-13 period and through the 13-14 period relates to the change in the contract last year. And that $500 base and then paying commission on the entire ball of wax is what tipped the scale. And, you know, in answer to, you know, Dawn's comments about being on call or blah, blah, whatever, you know, it works two ways. I mean, you've got that and you've got the flexibility, but on the other hand, everything was pretty much commissionable. The weekly monthlies, for instance, require no time, no maintenance, no nothing, and they equate to quite a bit of commission.
No, and I agree, they should be pulled.
So what I'm
from the
saying is it's sort of a balance
Yeah.
there, and that's why my point, before you stop me before, is I don't feel that there is really necessarily a big difference between whether it's contract or whether it's employee. Either way, I mean, maybe just 3 or 4 set, scheduled, posted hours would be beneficial to the district, and a change in the contract to make it a more equitable situation for the district. That is the bottom line.
Yeah, so those are some of my thoughts there, and also Dawn and I were talking earlier, and she said that on these regular things like yoga, things that are regularly scheduled, that they shouldn't be commissionable unless that person brings that business in.
Well, I mean, I had 30 contractors. Some were W-2 contractors, some were W-2 employees, some were 1099 contractors in all kinds of situations. And, you know, pipelines and new business were one thing. Outside sales is one thing. Putting a contractor on a project is another thing, you know. So,
Yeah.
Well,
we could create an
over
absolute
the last
nightmare.
6.5 years, this position has changed a number of ways, and it hasn't been discussed in detail like it is now. And there are some changes that could absolutely take place within the pay structure. But, you know, I'm just saying, nobody held a gun to anybody's head for these contracts, but certainly changes are good, and if they're in favor of the district, then they should be taking place. Sales, and I understand what you're saying about sales and commissions, you know, somebody who goes out and brings in business,
Cold
which is
calling,
something that we don't
one-on-one.
actually do a great deal of. We do
Right.
some, but the business is now coming to us because of all the work we've done in the last 5.5, 6 years by marketing with no money to bring in the business. So people are coming because of the wedding expos that we've done and the word of mouth that, thank God, has been spreading since we opened the doors. So our weekend, this is this year, is better than it's ever been simply because we've done so well in the past. If you're going to pay a base pay of $500, a commission is due for all of this work. If you want to pay a flat rate, pay a flat rate. If you want to pay an hourly, do it, but make it worthwhile to the person who's doing the job. It's a great deal of work. Whether or not you're going out cold calling or simply making a sale because somebody makes an appointment based on what they saw on your website, you're still making a sale, and you're managing it all the way through to the end until cleanup. And in many cases, you're helping them with cleanup to get them the hell out of the building.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of how to fairly compensate for something that's so flexible and unpredictable.
Okay, so your comment, nobody held a gun to anybody's head.
No, I mean, you
commission on
did.
basis, just-
No, it's funny, but
Next
anyway,
one.
getting back to seriousness.
I'm just saying, I mean-
Getting back to seriousness, what we need to do is we need to make this advantageous to the district.
Right.
That's what we need to do. Now, what's the best way to make it advantageous?
I think that, well, my perspective is that you need to change some of the commission structure. You need to take away some of the regular events that are being commissioned. You know, the yogas, the solution group, the NA group, any of the groups that book for, you know, 3 to 6 months to a year at a time, because they're managed by strictly a single piece of paper. They get a contract signed and they're done.
Okay?
That's fair.
I had a question that kind of has to do with the contracts themselves. You have an administrative fee and a management fee. What are those supposed to be for?
They were for, again, when the hours were asked to be booked on, you know, on the timesheet, the administrative hours, we added the management fees to the contract to be paid to the contractor for hours worked at the event. No more than, and typically it's 2.
Okay.
Before and after. The admin fee is the fee for the paperwork, the
Okay.
phone calls, that kind of thing, and then it's split with the district.
Okay.
That could go 100% back to the district.
Well, I was wondering, you got commission on that?
No, not commission, we
No.
split it. It was $50, 25 goes to the district, 25 goes to...
Flat fee.
Mhm.
So what I'm saying is, I mean, some of these outside hours, as I say, this balance, there is a balance there.
Yeah.
I mean, you've also billed the district for your hours when you go to wedding expos.
That's ours, yeah.
So-
Well, I only
Yeah.
did that the one time because Katrina
You
told
told me in
me...
the past
I-
that you
I
always
think we're
have.
good.
Based
I wasn't
on,
here, so I
based
can't
on what
say.
Katrina told me to book,
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Can I go through my thoughts if we go through a contractor
Sure.
just to do it? Okay, if we go with the contractor, we should exclude commissions for personal events held by MRPD staff and board, and then what we
The
just
regular
talked about,
activities.
regular activities. And let's see, what is fee schedule or special procedures for such events? I don't care. Okay.